Welcome, everyone. My name is Tiviana Marie. I'm a quantum healer and a soul embodiment guide. My purpose and mission is to help you consciously awaken to and embody your divinity. So it's one thing to say, I am this sovereign divine being capable of manifesting my dreams into reality. And it's a whole other thing to really ground that out into the physical vessel, into your lived experience, and actually actively create what it is you want to see in the world. I truly believe that we're in the midst of a massive shift in consciousness. And as this old paradigm is falling, we are asked to embody more of our soul's light, more of our soul's wisdom onto this planet so that we may co create a new paradigm, a new golden age on this planet. This podcast, or this is the Reclaiming Mastery podcast, whether you're tuning in via YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere else. And essentially, I co created this podcast because on my own awakening, healing, self help journey, there were so many teachings, techniques out there, which I'm so grateful for, modalities. However, sometimes when you just dive into whether it's spiritual wisdom, spiritual teachings, or self-help teachings, it can almost be a little bit overwhelming. You see, like, oh, there's this technique to manifest your dream, here's how I visualize this, there's this meditation. And for myself, that overwhelm, not only did it keep me pretty stagnant, I mean, I did shift with the help of those techniques, um, however, overall much more stagnant. It also sometimes left me feeling discouraged, like I wasn't seeing the results I desired. So what I found was that by taking it back to the basics, by coming back down to some of these higher teachings and making them more accessible, more understandable to the population, the mass population, I could hopefully help people understand these somewhat advanced esoteric teachings, spiritual teachings, some of this higher knowledge, and almost like put it into layman's terms, articulate it in a way that no matter your background, no matter where you're from, no matter what you believe, it brings us together. My intention is not to cause more division, not to put us in more categories of this religion, this teaching, this that teaching, but to come back to the basics of divine love, of devotion, of healing. So for those of you who have been on this journey with me, thank you so much. I know there's many of you who have followed me from the very beginning and really got to witness my journey and stand alongside me during it. And I've got to witness yours. So thank you so much. So today, as with any of my, whether it's podcasts, videos, I never have a script. I probably should do bullet points or some other things, but I sit down in sacred space. I open, whether it's with meditation, prayer, whatever feels right to me, and I clear myself to be a vessel for what wants to come through. So, on today's episode, we are diving in, well, very, very briefly, diving in to healing. So the title of this podcast will likely be, What is Healing Anyway? Right? What is healing? So many people, we desire to heal or to be healed, but do you really, what does that mean? What does that look like? What I have found, even in myself in the beginning of my journey, a lot of us think to be healed means to never experience negative emotion, to never be triggered, to, walk through this world as an enlightened being that is totally unbothered, unaffected by the world itself. Well, I'm sure maybe that's possible. However, trying to attain this state of perfection where you are healed, I do believe this is a losing battle. It's almost futile. It is my belief system that we are actually on this spiral of eternal evolution in our consciousness until we return to the one source field consciously. So, healing. I started to ask myself this. So, what is healing? What's my intention with healing? I mean, of course, it is to live a happier, more joyful, more peaceful life, understandably. However, healing to me, remember, guys, always taking what resonates, leaving what doesn't. And of course, there are various, whether we're actually talking about physical healing, spiritual healing, you know. So, healing to me is not getting to a place where you are not triggered or unbothered by your experiences, where you don't experience human emotion. I think that would be pretty dull of a life not to have these experiences that we came to have. So rather, I believe healing is coming to rest more and more into the depth of your being, resting more and more into the divinity that you are. So, what that means is as we begin to truly understand that I am this divine being, I am this spirit, I am this soul having a human experience, we are able to then be in the world, yet not of the world. So, what does that mean? What does that look like? I love Michael Singer mentions the seat of self and how the masters have gone to a place where they're able to observe the world. They're able to be in this witness observer consciousness and rest and sit in this seat of self. This seat of self, I assume, being the center of our being. So as we heal, as we begin to understand that, and there's spirals, this doesn't mean that things no longer trigger us. There's a few different things that it means. One is that we have a reservoir of hope and a reservoir of faith. This means that no matter what life throws at you, you believe so firmly, you stand so firmly in your covenant with God that you know that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So when we say no weapon formed against you shall prosper, in my opinion, this is referring to alchemy. That as we heal, we begin to recognize this divine thread throughout our lives, and that everything that's happened that we may have perceived as bad and that may have been painful at the time, we then become the master alchemist. So where any darkness, anything thrown our way, we're able to alchemize, to transmute into greater light, into greater embodiment, into greater wisdom. So again, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And we begin to come and rest into this knowing. So another part of healing, true healing, when you recognize that you are spirit informed and that the truth of your being is unconditionally loving, unconditionally loved, it is peaceful, it is confident, it is powerful, it is omniscient and omnipresent, right? And this energy that creates worlds, the energy that creates the trees and the birds and the sky and the people you see, right? All the beauty in the world, all the stars, the moon, right? That energy, that spirit is the same spirit that is within you. Now, when we allow our spirit to flow, so we talk about our chakras, right? I haven't dived too deep into chakras, but we'll talk about energy centers. When our spirit is allowed to flow through our vessel freely, through our energy centers, we experience more joy, more love, more bliss, more creativity, more inspiration. So when people look at, okay, well, why am I not experiencing this always? Well, this is because throughout our lifetimes, we have experienced much trauma. Excuse me. And when we had these experiences are passing. So let's just point that out. When we experience something, it comes and then it goes. Experiences don't stay. That's just not how it works. The only way that an experience can stay is when we hold on to it. So when things happen in our life that we're unable to fully process, fully deal with, we hold on to it. We bring it into us. right? So let's say you had a girlfriend, Sally, who broke up with you in the 5th grade, and it hurt you so bad, and now 30 years later, whenever you hear Sally, you're triggered, right? So we end up putting these blocks in our system. As we place these blocks into our system, this impedes the flow of energy from flowing to the fullest extent, from flowing freely through us and into the world. So what happens is, as we heal, what we're doing is we are coming fully committed to clearing any blockages, to removing all the stuff that we've held on to. So a good sort of analogy or vision is like, we have a room and like, or this junk drawer, we'll say a junk drawer like that one a lot of us have in our kitchen or wherever, and we put all this junk into this drawer and we're never really looking at it, right? We're just putting all this junk into this drawer, and then at one point we decide we want to clean out the drawers. Well, awakening and becoming committed to your healing journey is becoming committed to clearing out those drawers, to clearing out the baggage, the shadows within you, so that way more light can flow through you. So let's say you've done years of work, or not, it doesn't necessarily have to take that long, but let's say you've been clearing out. What you will notice is a couple things. One is that you don't stop getting triggered. We get triggered, we're humans. On one end, things may not trigger you to the extreme that they triggered you before. On the other end, you will now be able to respond to an experience, to a person, rather than react, right? So we know, like, let's say your partner, because that's always a great way, your partner says something that triggers your inner child, your abandonment wounds, your rejection wounds, and then you react. You react in anger, you say things you don't want to say, right? Well, as we heal, we get to this place where we're more able, we're not perfect, right? But we're better able to respond to situations. So let's say that in that experience, and let's say my partner was triggering my inner child. Well, now that I've come to this place of healing, I'm on this healing journey, when they say that thing that triggers my inner child, rather than reacting and lashing out and projecting onto that person, I am able to rest in that seat of self and become aware that my partner, my inner child wound, so my stuff is being triggered by this experience. My stuff. My stuff that I put there is being triggered by this experience. And once you recognize, again, that I put the stuff there, I can move the stuff. I can clear the stuff. I desire to clear this stuff. Because when I do, again, I become this beacon of light, this force. Is able to flow through me with greater power, right? With greater healing, with greater love into the world. So, yeah, we're able to respond differently rather than react. We're also, as these experiences come, we stop holding on to them. We stop internalizing them, because as we rest into that seat of self, as we understand that we're spirit, let's say we are being offended. Let's say someone judges our looks, or, something that we did or didn't do. Well, we understand that while this vessel, this experience, this is part of our experience, but I am spirit, right? I am a child of God. So again, whatever, we don't over identify anymore with the small self, and rather we rest in the truth of our divine self. Okay. So as you heal, be aware that it is not that things won't trigger you. What happens is they come and they go. They come and they go, like clouds passing by in the field of your awareness. So rather than taking them into you, taking them onto you, holding them, burying them, and allowing them to obstruct the flow of energy from within you, instead you allow them to come and go. So again, it doesn't mean you don't feel anger. You feel anger, and then you don't. You're over it, right? You feel sadness, and then you don't. You're over it. But you're truly over it. You're not just repressing or suppressing it, so that way it comes up later. So true healing to me is, in divine timing and with grace, slowly spiraling into higher levels of consciousness, where you begin to get a higher vantage point of your experience and of yourself. You begin to see a bigger picture of why things happen the way they do. You begin to understand more clearly that you are the creator of your reality. As you heal, you come more and more, well, you come more and more to be less and less. I love that. But you also, as you heal, you're able to stop projecting so much onto any given situation. A lot of times, what you're experiencing doesn't actually have that much to do with you, right? That's one of the 4 agreements. Don't take things personal. So, a lot of times, the way someone else may treat you may have nothing to do with you, right? It may also be something that you created to mirror back to you, but you stop projecting all this stuff onto any given situation. So again, you're more equipped to handle the situation, the experience for what it is, rather than what your wounded ego is trying to make it. As you heal, another big marker that you are healing is you grow into greater trust. Greater trust. And sometimes people are like, oh, it's hard to trust what you can't see, right? But you begin to trust this divine thread, this grace that's weaved through everything. And as you begin to trust, that means that you may revisit old patterns, you may revisit pain, but you're able to be in that pain, you're able to experience that pain, that grief, whatever that emotion is, again, without getting lost in it. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being on today. And my overall intention just with this episode, because it's a hard topic to really totally dissect what is healing. I would love to hear in the comments or wherever, what is healing to you? But most importantly, I made this video to let you guys know that, hey, if you're still being triggered, if you feel angry sometimes, if you're mean sometimes, whatever it is, that doesn't mean that you're not healing. Not at all, not even slightly. Know that you are healing. If your intention is to heal, if your intention is to awaken, if your intention is to embody your soul, you are going to do so. And divine timing, you are doing so. If you're listening to my podcast, if you're, looking at any of my videos, if you're in this space, you're doing it. We're doing it. And so thank you so much for your service. Thank you. Till next time.